Imagine getting pulled over tomorrow and receiving a £1,000 fine for something you didn't even know was required in your car. It's happening right now across the UK, and thousands of drivers are being caught completely off guard. This isn't about speeding or parking violations. This is about a brand new legal requirement that came into effect this February. And if you don't have this specific item in your vehicle, you could face massive penalties that will devastate your budget. Stay with me until the end, because I'm going to tell you exactly what you need, where to get it, how much it really costs, and the critical mistakes that are landing people in serious trouble with the law. Hello everyone, I'm David, and welcome back to UK State Pension with David, the channel where I break down the most important changes affecting your finances, your rights, and your daily life here in the United Kingdom. Whether you're a pensioner trying to make every pound count, a working person already stretched thin, or someone who simply wants to stay on the right side of the law without breaking the bank, this channel is your trusted source for clear, accurate information that actually helps you navigate the complex world we're living in. Today we're tackling something that affects millions of UK drivers, and the penalties are so severe that I knew I had to get this information to you immediately. The new driving law that came into force in February 2026 has created confusion, frustration, and genuine financial hardship for people who simply didn't know about the change. Unlike previous driving regulations that were announced months or even years in advance with massive public awareness campaigns, this particular requirement seemed to slip through the cracks of public consciousness. Many drivers are only finding out about it when they're stopped at a traffic checkpoint or involved in a minor incident that requires police attendance. By then, it's too late. The fine has already been issued, points might be added to your license, and in some extreme cases, your insurance could even be affected. So what exactly is this required car item that's causing all this trouble? The new law mandates that all vehicles registered in the UK must carry a specific type of emergency safety kit. This isn't the old-fashioned first aid box that many of us have had in our boots for years. This is a government-approved emergency kit that meets very specific standards set out by the Department for Transport. The kit must contain particular items in particular quantities, and it must be stored in a location within the vehicle where it can be accessed quickly in an emergency situation. The legal language around this requirement is very precise, which is why so many people are falling foul of it even when they think they're prepared. Let's break down exactly what needs to be in this emergency safety kit according to the new regulations. First and foremost, you need a warning triangle that meets British standard requirements. This isn't just any triangle you can pick up at a car boot sale. It needs to have the proper certification marking, and it needs to be the reflective type that can be seen from at least 100 meters away in normal visibility conditions. The triangle must be stored in a rigid case to prevent damage, because a bent or broken triangle doesn't meet the legal standard even if you have one in the car. The second critical component is a high visibility vest or jacket for every person who might be traveling in the vehicle. This is where many drivers are getting caught out. It's not enough to have one vest for the driver. If your vehicle is registered to carry 5 people, you need 5 vests. They must meet the EN ISO 24701 standard, which means they need to have reflective strips in specific configurations and be made from fluorescent material. The logic behind this requirement is sound. If you break down on a motorway or a road and multiple people exit the vehicle, everyone needs to be visible to approaching traffic. But the practical reality is that many families and businesses haven't updated their vehicle provisions to reflect this new rule. Third on the list is a first aid kit. But again, not just any first aid kit will do. The kit must be compliant with British Standard BS 8599, which specifies exactly what medical supplies need to be included. We're talking about specific quantities of sterile dressings, bandages, plasters, gloves, and other essential items. The kit needs to be in a clearly marked container, preferably green with a white cross, and all items must be in date. This last point is crucial because having an emergency kit with expired supplies is treated the same as not having a kit at all under the new law. The fourth requirement is a working torch with spare batteries or a rechargeable torch that holds a charge. This might seem straightforward, but the regulations specify that the torch must be capable of producing at least 100 lumens of light and must be in working order. Having a torch with dead batteries doesn't count. Having a torch that's corroded or broken doesn't count. You need to be able to demonstrate that the torch actually works if asked by a police officer or DVSA enforcement agent. Finally, and this is the one that's catching out the most people, you need to carry a fire extinguisher rated for vehicle use. This is a significant change because fire extinguishers haven't been legally required in private vehicles before. The extinguisher must be rated for Class A, B, and C fires, which means it can handle ordinary combustibles, flammable liquids, and electrical fires. It needs to be securely mounted or stored so it doesn't become a projectile in an accident, and it needs to be within its service date. Fire extinguishers have expiry dates just like food, and an out-of-date extinguisher is considered non-compliant. Now, let's talk about the penalties, because this is where things get really serious. If you're stopped and found to be driving without the complete required emergency kit, you face an on-the-spot fixed penalty notice of £200. That's the minimum. If the matter goes to court, which can happen if you contest the fine or if there are aggravating circumstances, the maximum penalty can reach £1,000. On top of the financial penalty, you can receive 3 penalty points on your driving license. For new drivers still in their probationary period, this could mean losing your license entirely if you already have points from other offenses. But the financial impact doesn't stop with the fine itself. Many insurance companies are now asking specific questions about driving convictions related to vehicle safety equipment during policy renewals. If you have to declare a conviction for not carrying required safety equipment, it can affect your premium. Some insurers view this type of offense as indicating a general disregard for safety regulations, which puts you in a higher risk category. The premium increase over the course of several years could end up costing you far more than the original fine. There's also the consideration of what happens if you're involved in an accident while not having the required safety equipment. Even if the lack of equipment didn't cause or contribute to the accident, it can complicate insurance claims. Some policies have clauses that allow the insurer to reduce or refuse payment if the vehicle wasn't being operated in full compliance with UK law at the time of an incident. This is a gray area legally, and it varies by insurer, but it's a risk that nobody should be taking unknowingly. Let's address the practical question that everyone wants answered. Where do you get one of these approved emergency kits, and how much does it actually cost? The good news is that multiple retailers now stock compliant kits specifically designed to meet the new UK regulations. Halfords, the UK's leading automotive retailer, carries several options ranging from about £45 for a basic compliant kit up to £90 for a more comprehensive version with additional items. These kits come with certification documentation that proves they meet the legal standards, which is important to keep with the kit in case you're ever questioned. You can also purchase compliant kits online through Amazon, eBay, and specialist automotive safety websites. When buying online, you need to be absolutely certain that the kit specifically states it meets UK February 2026 regulations. There are many emergency kits available that look comprehensive, but don't actually include all the legally required items or don't meet the specific British standards needed. Reading product descriptions carefully and checking customer reviews from other UK buyers can help you avoid purchasing something that won't actually keep you legal. For those who are more budget conscious or who prefer to assemble things themselves, you can buy the individual components separately. A compliant warning triangle typically costs between £12 and £20. High visibility vests that meet the EN ISO standard run about £5 to £8 each. So for a family car carrying 5 people, you're looking at £25 to £40 just for vests. A BS 8599 compliant first aid kit costs between £15 and £30, depending on size and brand. A suitable torch with spare batteries runs about £10 to £15, and a vehicle-rated fire extinguisher costs between £25 and £45, depending on size and brand. If you add all that up, assembling your own kit from individual components could cost anywhere from £90 to £160, depending on the quality of items you choose and how many passengers your vehicle carries. In many cases, buying a pre-assembled certified kit is actually more economical and definitely more convenient. Plus, the pre-assembled kits come with the certification paperwork already sorted, which saves you having to track down compliance documents for each individual item. One question that comes up frequently is whether you can use equipment you already own if it meets the standards. The answer is yes, but with important caveats. If you already have a warning triangle, high-vis vests, first aid kit, torch, or fire extinguisher, you can continue using them as long as they meet the specific standards I mentioned earlier and are in good condition and within their service dates. The challenge is that many items people already own were purchased before these specific standards were mandated, so they might not actually be compliant even if they seem adequate. When in doubt, it's worth spending a few pounds to upgrade to items that are explicitly marked as meeting the current standards. The cost of an upgrade is trivial compared to a £200 fine. Storage and accessibility are also important aspects of compliance that many drivers overlook. The regulations state that the emergency kit must be readily accessible to the driver without needing to unload cargo or remove seats. This means you can't have it buried under a week's worth of shopping in the boot or tucked behind the back seat where you'd need to move child seats to reach it. The most practical location for most vehicles is in the boot in a dedicated storage box or bag, positioned where you can grab it quickly. Some drivers are choosing to keep the warning triangle and high-vis vests in a door pocket or under the front seats for even faster access, with the rest of the kit in the boot. It's also worth noting that the requirement applies regardless of how often you drive or how far you typically travel. Even if you only use your car once a week to pop to the local shops, you still need the complete kit. Even if you never drive on motorways and stick to quiet residential streets, you still need the complete kit. The law doesn't distinguish between regular drivers and occasional users, between urban drivers and rural ones, or between short trips and long journeys. If you're operating a vehicle on public roads in the UK, you need to be compliant. Commercial drivers and business vehicle operators face additional scrutiny. The Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency has specifically stated that vehicle safety equipment compliance will be a focus area during roadside checks and annual MOT inspections going forward. If you drive for work, whether that's making deliveries, visiting clients, or transporting passengers, your employer has a legal responsibility to ensure company vehicles are properly equipped. But as the driver, you also have a personal responsibility, and ignorance of the law is never accepted as a defense. If you're caught driving an improperly equipped work vehicle, both you and your employer could face penalties. For taxi drivers, private hire operators, and driving instructors, the stakes are even higher. Your professional license can be affected by driving convictions related to vehicle safety. Local licensing authorities take these matters seriously because your vehicle is used to carry members of the public. A conviction for not having required safety equipment could result in a review of your fitness to hold a taxi or private hire license, potentially affecting your livelihood. Driving instructors face similar scrutiny from the DVSA, as they're responsible for teaching new drivers the importance of legal compliance. There's been considerable debate about whether this new law is necessary, or whether it's just another example of regulatory overreach that puts financial burden on ordinary people. Supporters of the law point to statistics showing that proper emergency equipment saves lives and reduces the severity of injuries in roadside incidents. They argue that the UK has been behind many European countries where similar requirements have been in place for years. In France, Germany, Spain, and several other EU nations, carrying warning triangles, high-vis vests, and first aid kits has been mandatory for a long time, and studies suggest these requirements do contribute to better outcomes in roadside emergencies. Critics counter that the law places yet another financial burden on households already struggling with the cost of living crisis. When you're choosing between heating your home and buying petrol to get to work, finding an extra £50 to £100 for a safety kit feels like an impossible ask. There's also frustration about the lack of a public awareness campaign. Major changes to driving laws in the past, such as the introduction of mobile phone restrictions or changes to speed limits, were accompanied by months of advertising and public information. This requirement seemed to appear with minimal fanfare, leading many to feel they've been set up to fail. Regardless of where you stand on the debate, the reality is that the law is in force, it's being enforced, and the penalties are significant enough that compliance isn't optional. For pensioners in particular, many of whom are living on fixed incomes and watching every penny, an unexpected £200 fine could be absolutely devastating. It could mean choosing between the fine and essential expenses like food or medication. This is why I'm so passionate about getting this information out to all of you watching UK State Pension with David. Knowledge is power, and knowing about this requirement before you get caught gives you the chance to comply on your own terms and budget. If you're watching this and realizing you're not currently compliant, don't panic, but do act quickly. Make it a priority this week to either purchase a compliant kit or verify that what you already have meets the standards. Check the expiry dates on your first aid supplies and fire extinguisher. Make sure your torch actually works and has fresh batteries. Confirm that your warning triangle is in good condition and that you have enough high-vis vests for all potential passengers. Taking an hour to sort this out now could save you hundreds of pounds and significant stress down the road. For families with multiple vehicles, remember that each vehicle needs its own complete kit. You can't share a kit between cars because you never know which vehicle might be involved in a situation where the equipment is needed. If you have adult children who drive, make sure they're aware of this requirement too. Young drivers, particularly those who've only recently passed their tests, might not have heard about this law change at all, and they're just as liable to be fined as anyone else. As we come to the end of today's discussion, I want to emphasize the core message of UK State Pension with David. This channel exists to help you navigate the increasingly complex landscape of laws, regulations, and financial requirements that affect your daily life in the United Kingdom. Whether it's changes to your state pension, updates to driving laws, shifts in taxation, or new regulations that impact your home or business, I'm here to break it down in plain English and give you the practical information you need to protect yourself and your family. The new driving law requiring specific emergency equipment in every vehicle is just one example of how quickly things can change and how expensive it can be if you're not keeping up. A £1,000 maximum fine might sound extreme, but it reflects how seriously the government is taking vehicle safety compliance. Rather than viewing this as an unfair burden, try to see it as an investment in your safety and the safety of others on the road. That emergency kit sitting in your boot isn't just about avoiding a fine. It's about having the tools you need if you or someone else experiences a breakdown, accident, or emergency while traveling. Before I let you go, I want to remind you to subscribe to UK State Pension with David if you haven't already. Hit that subscription button and click the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. These updates could save you money, keep you legal, and help you make better decisions about the issues that matter most. Drop a comment below letting me know if you were already aware of this new requirement, or if this video was news to you. Share your experiences if you've already purchased a compliant kit, or if you've encountered any challenges in finding the right equipment. This community is built on sharing knowledge and helping each other, and your insights could really help someone else watching. Share this video with your friends and family, especially those who drive regularly or who might not be plugged into the latest legal changes. A quick share could prevent someone you care about from getting an expensive fine they can't afford. If you found this information helpful, give the video a thumbs up to help it reach more people who need to see it. The algorithm rewards engagement, and the more people who like, comment, and share, the more drivers we can help stay informed and compliant. Thank you so much for watching UK State Pension with David. I'm David, and I'll be back very soon with more essential information to help you live your best life in the United Kingdom without falling victim to unexpected costs or legal pitfalls. Stay safe on the roads, get that emergency kit sorted, and remember that staying informed is always your best defense against costly surprises. Until next time, take care, drive safely, and keep looking after yourselves and each other.